Well, we've officially been out of our RV for a month now.
1 month, yeah.
And today we're heading back onto the road, but no RV in tow. We're actually doing a cross-country road trip heading to the Grand Canyon. But today we're actually going to be sharing why we decided to leave full-time RV living behind and settle in our new house, which is right behind us, and we're really excited about it. So we're going to give you a little bit of insight as to why we decided to the change of lifestyle.
Yeah, why we came off the road, why we decided to settle down, and we'll drive while we record, and then we'll upload it while we go.
Yeah,
You'll
and
actually
so
get this in real time.
So we are actually going to get in the car right now because it's about to rain, and we're already, what, 15 minutes behind on getting on the road.
Let's go. What are we
Let's
packing
go.
for? Promised, I'm going to tell you about the reasons why we quit full-time RV life. But first we want to say that we did enjoy it. It's not that we hated it and we were miserable and we had to come off the road. We did like it.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really was. I'm trying to pull up my notes. Here we go. We loved that we got to see so much of the country. I mean, honestly, in 16 months we saw how many states?
27, 28 states.
Tons of national parks. That was like one of our absolute highlights as we traveled, seeing the national parks.
If you watched our favorite places video, most of those destinations were national parks, but a lot of cities in there as well.
Yep. So we did love it. We loved that we got to see a lot. We made a ton of friends on the road, some really close friends. You may have heard it say, if you're looking at this full-time RV life, that you just make faster, deeper connections, and it's totally true. There's just something about already having that bond.
Speed trap ahead.
Speed trap. Don't worry, we're not speeding.
You're not speeding. There's something about already having that bond of traveling and living tiny, and yeah, the friendships we made were pretty incredible.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why the friendships just happen so quickly is because the people that you do meet on the road are experiencing life in the same way that you are. You're doing the same thing. You've given up the things that most people lived with in their regular houses, and just finding people on the road and connecting just makes it so much easier. I mean, there's people that you would connect with regularly that you wouldn't really connect with if you were living in a regular house, just because you're not doing life in the same way. So
and we really honestly experienced like over a decade's worth of vacations. You know, like people plan for 2 weeks out of the year, they go see the Grand Canyon, or they go in Mount Rushmore, or something like that. Like that's a one destination thing. I mean, in hitting the 20-some states,
there's a speed trap ahead.
This 20-some states that we hit.
yeah, it would really take
it would
multiple, honestly, a decade's worth of vacations in order to see everything that we saw in 16 months.
Right. And we still felt like we didn't see everything we wanted to. I mean, the list is long of places we'd like to go, but we really got this kind of amazing, what people would say, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But
and the thing is, though, we were never of the intention of doing full-time RV living full-time. Our goal when we set out was to come back from Europe, get the RV ready, spend 6 months in Virginia with Rachel's family, and then be on the road for at least a year, just to make it worth our time and effort of getting the RV ready and the 3.5 months of renovation work that we put into it. And then honestly, it was to kind of just reset our lifestyle and give us an opportunity to find the place that we wanted to settle down in.
Right, and we were kind of hunting for that as we traveled along.
Yeah, as we traveled, we were going to different cities. Every time we were traveling through an area that looked interesting, we were pulling up Zillow and looking at, you know, what's the affordability of this area, what kind of house could we get in this area for something that would fit within our budget. We looked at a couple different places.
Yeah,
Seriously.
We looked at Salt Lake City. Actually, before we went there, we were looking at it and considering it. And then once we got there, it just didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right.
It didn't have that feeling. We looked at Pensacola.
Because Rachel loves being next to the beach.
Yeah, we looked at the Carolinas along the coast. So we were checking out places along the way.
Chicago as well.
Chicago, yeah.
We love Chicago.
And really, we decided we needed to be in an urban area. We absolutely love city life. Again, we say that probably every other video. We're sick of us saying it. But that was part of our choosing. And in the end, we decided Cleveland was the right city for us. We have a whole nother video of why Cleveland, because we get asked that question a lot.
Coming up, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll make sure we have that one for you. We were going to put it with this, but it was just too much. We'll keep them separate. Why we quit, why Cleveland.
So saying all of that, we're going to jump into the reasons why we decided to quit and not go a little bit longer. I mean, honestly, at one point we were considering going a full second year along the way. But we decided that we needed to finish it up where we were at. So one of the first reasons why we decided to quit RV life was consistent community.
Yes.
And while there is a lot of community on the road, you do need to be intentional about seeking it out and making it a priority. We found a lot of friends on the road, some incredible friendships that will probably last us a lot longer than other friendships that we've had in other places. But not having consistency is really hard.
Right.
Going from place to place, and we did meet up with friends and families along the way that we camped with a lot. It's just hard to find somebody that you can be close to on a regular basis. We would sometimes go a month and a half without connecting with another full-time family.
Yeah.
And even if we did connect for, a couple days or even a week, then we were saying goodbye to them and probably not seeing them for another 3 to 6 months. Or if again at all.
Right, yeah, because we would be heading completely different directions. Yeah, and so we really wanted that consistent, like you see the same people in the stores, you see the same people on your block, just that regular, consistent
school, work, things like that.
And while we were still planning to homeschool and still be working from home, but just different, activities for the kids, gymnastics or dance or those sorts of things. That's another place of community that's just consistent and regular.
And especially for our girls. I mean, they really got out of their shell a lot while they were on the road. Every
really
time they were at a new campground, they were looking around, are there kids? Let's go play with kids.
Right. Which they were not doing. Before that,
they were never doing that.
Never.
No. And so they've kind of evolved in that way, learning, hey, I only have this short time to connect with somebody. Let me do it now. Which has helped a lot. Like we've only been in our house for about a month, and they've already connected with a handful of families and kids on our block. Something that would probably have taken them a lot longer to do before we hit the road.
So that consistency was really important to us. So we're not alone for long stretches. I mean, we can be if we need some alone time by ourselves. We can do that. But just having regular community was really, really important to us.
The next thing up is consistency of our schedule.
Right, the routine.
The routine.
Yeah, I thrive on routine. I always have. It's just who I am. It's kind of built in my DNA. I used to teach people how to make routines and schedule and plan their lives and manage their time. So while this experience on the road has taught me so much more flexibility, I think I've come a pretty long way. Would you say so?
She's come a long way. She still has some way to go. She needs to know when and where everything is happening
I'm a planner.
all the time.
It's just who I am.
So RV life, you can make it as rigid as possible or as open as possible. For Rachel's sake, as rigid as possible is the best thing. But honestly, that's probably not the best approach when it comes to full-time RV living, because you need to be flexible as to where you're going, how long you're going to stay somewhere. But for us, just not having that routine was kind of hurting us a little bit,
Right, because-
especially for my work.
Yeah, because travel days would be different days of the week depending on when you can get a reservation or when the season is or who you're visiting, or there's so many factors that go into dictating your schedule. And so, yeah, having it for your work, being able to have more time in the work week, because a whole travel day knocks out work for him because I don't drive on travel days.
So to set the stage, usually travel days are better when it's a weekday, and
it's less
also
traffic.
going into national parks or visiting sites are better during weekdays,
Yeah,
just
just less
because you
crowded.
miss the crowds, the weekend people that are typically out.
Yeah.
And while my work schedule did allow for that, it was hard because I would try to cram in work in the mornings before we went out,
Yeah.
or late at night, and just not having that consistency for me wasn't really good. But then it also kind of, Rachel wanted consistency for the girls too, for school.
Yeah, with school,
and
we
not
ended
having
up
that
being a
regular
lot
schedule.
more unschooly than I ever imagined I would be as someone who has a degree in education and thought homeschool was weird and I would never do it even. I thought homeschool would look a lot different for us, but it did become more flexible,
Yep.
more road schooling, which was good, again, for me to learn flexibility. But even for the girl, if we take a couple days off of school, it's hard to get back into that routine for them. And so having it more on a consistent basis is something that we needed, so that we could have, this is on Tuesdays we do some history, and on Fridays we do field trip.
And we
Just
could
something
have
like that.
worked with the schedule to make things work. And honestly, we did. I mean,
did.
our original plan was 12 months. We made it to 16. Halfway along the way,
slowed
we
down.
purchased a new business.
Yeah.
And purchasing that new business for me and trying to get that
That made it
flowing
more-
really smooth.
Yeah, more of a need.
Yeah, it meant I needed to put in a lot more time into
Yeah.
that, and that was one of the factors of why, we really needed to settle down, was just so that we could have that consistency and routine for day-to-day life.
And then another part of it is the stress of it. For me, as a person who gets anxious quite often,
Mainly because she needs to plan everything.
right, part of that is the plan. Well, the planning helps to control the stress and the fear, right? And so drive days were extremely stressful for me. We're towing our whole house behind us. That just upped the anxiety. And when you do that once in a while on a vacation with your RV, it's maybe not such a big deal. But when you're doing it week after week or every 3 or 4 days or whatever it is that you travel, that constant high level of stress is just not good and not healthy. And so that was part of it. But a lot of it was the decision fatigue in choosing where you can go, right? You can go anywhere.
There are so many destinations.
There's so many options and so many choices, and even when you pick a destination, you have so many options for where to stay. And so it was, always planning ahead and making the reservations and deciding where we should stay, what path we should take, what are we going to see while we're there in that city. And while, a person plans for 1 or 2 vacations a year, that's doable. But when you're doing it literally every week. To plan ahead, it's exhausting, right? And so, and I know some families go slower because of that, and that's maybe an option as well for some people. But for us, we decided let's have a home base so that we can do this, even if it's every few months. That's a lot less planning and stress.
It gives you a few months to plan for a couple weeks at a time, and then go from there.
Right.
And then the final thing on the list was simply space.
Yeah.
So to preface everything, we've mentioned this before, Rachel has been obsessed with tiny living.
Yeah, I've wanted to do
Since
it
forever.
for a long time. Okay, maybe like 5 years.
No, a lot longer.
You think so?
A lot long. It was way before we even moved to Italy.
Like 5 years.
But so she's had this idea of minimalism from the get-go, just living life as simple as possible, and RV living fits in perfectly into that, except for the fact that you're moving all the time. So you need different things than if you were stationary. So having a smaller space was really appealing for us at the beginning, because we've been thinking about it for such a long time.
Right.
Unfortunately, due to my work and having, you know, 4 people in the family plus a dog, the RV that we chose, it was good for what we needed, but if we were to continue, we were looking at changing things up, just to change the layout so that we had a little bit more privacy between us and the girls, because we only had curtains, no doors. The only door into the RV was the bathroom. But then also space for my work. I need to do video work and audio recording for my other work, and not having extra space. Every time that I needed to set up to record, I would have to have the girls completely leave the RV. I would use the dinette cushions to set up in my mini sound booth so I could do voiceovers. Yeah, it was just, it wasn't conducive to a great working environment for me, and just not having extra space to breathe a little bit. And Rachel found that out a lot.
Yeah, and I'm introverted, and so not being able to close the door and have some disconnect, always being able to hear my children at all times while I love them, and this was a great experience for us to be together a lot. I do need that separation sometimes, and on nice days they went outside and they went to the playground, or I sat outside, or, you know, there was some separation. But on rainy days, that wasn't really an option.
Also, as much as being close to your family is great, being close to your family 24/7
is hard. Yes.
I mean, you need some separation for sanity's sake.
Yes.
Just to say, hey, I need to clear my mind. I need to get away for a little bit, or you need to get away to go do something else.
Yep.
And that's really hard when you're living together. You know, you can't just send them over to a friend's house, or they're at school, or they're doing other extracurricular activities.
Yeah. And even for our girls, you know, they crave some of that too. They're like, just leave me alone sometimes. And their beds are right on top of each other in this tiny space. And so, yes, space for us was something. And while we love living minimally and not having a lot of stuff, that's something that we can continue to do in a house. Yes, we have more space and more rooms, but that doesn't mean we plan to accumulate tons and tons of stuff. We were pretty minimal. Admittedly, our apartment was pretty small. Before we headed out, we were downsizing. We were in a small townhouse before, so we don't see ourselves still living this big extravagant life, but still living with what we need and not huge wants.
Being intentional about the things that we do have, not simply owning stuff for the sake of owning stuff.
And so this experience of extreme tiny living, I think, will carry over in our minimalist values as we're in a house as well.
Really it. I mean, honestly, there weren't any major issues with RV life that you're like, oh my gosh, we have to quit right now. We got to the point of saying, you know, we're going to stop, and it took us, what, 3.5, 4 months to finish it. Like, we had to plan out the end of our trip and see the couple different places that we really wanted to see before we finished. We weren't in a rush. Well, maybe Rachel was in a rush at the end. She was done.
Once I have an idea and a goal that I'm working towards, I want to get to that goal as soon as possible.
But because there weren't any real issues with RV life, besides the setup and some of those other things that come along with RV living, it might be something that we jump into later on. I mean, we've talked about doing that, or traveling internationally and, you know, taking a year, or, you know, maybe one day getting on a boat and sailing the world. That's probably not going to be for a long time because neither of us know how to sail.
You're right. But we are keeping it open. I mean, that's the thing. People, we've had some people ask, you know, is this, you know, until your girls go to college, or is this a forever place? And honestly, we've learned to take life as it comes. I mean, we've moved 4 times in the last 4 years, so right now we kind of feel like let's chill out.
We need a little bit of time to.
We need to breathe, but the options are still open. There's always a possibility of something new, something different.
So thank you guys so much for watching. This is actually one of the only videos that we're ever going to shoot.
Upload.
Edit and upload in the same day. So thank you guys for watching and supporting us in this. If you have any questions for us about RV living, or any of the struggles that we might have had along the way, feel free to drop those in the comments. I answer every single one of the questions that come in. She does not. But we appreciate your guys' support. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got more videos coming up.
Yep, more
This road
things
trip
can-
that we're on right now,
Yes.
that's not gonna come
It'll be
for
out
about a
little
month.
while, but that'll be a fun trip.
But we've got more RV related videos
Yes,
similar to
kind of-
this one,
kind of
answering your
summing
questions.
things up about RV life and favorite places, least favorite places,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
So thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you in the next one.